The niche within a niche feature in KRA Pro is really useful when you're first analyzing the keyword research and you're trying to identify main topics within a niche. You can access the niche within a niche feature up here on the niche tools section of the menu, and this is the screen that appears. Now, to select a folder to write your niche files, you basically have this. You will be familiar with this from Windows Explorer, and you just basically select, double click the folder that you want to save your files to. I always suggest you create a new folder to keep your files in for each project that you do, and when you double click on the folder, you'll see that the folder is written down here, so you can make absolutely sure where your files are being written to. Now, over on the other side, we have a drop down box here, search engine. If you've only ever used one search engine for your competition research, you don't need to select this. If you've got a database that contains competition data from 2 or more search engines, then you need to select the one that you're interested in using over on this side. Otherwise, you can ignore the search engine box. This next section here, minimum phrases to qualify as a niche within a niche. Basically, KRA goes away and it looks at the database and it tries to find groups of phrases that contain specific words. Now, it might be that for one particular word, KRA will only find 2 phrases that match. Now, if this is set as 2, then as long as KRA finds 2 or more phrases that matches that keyword, then it will write it as a little niche file. What I suggest you do is to increase this to 4 or 5, and that way you're going to get better topics, because it will mean that for a group of keywords to be classified as a sub-niche, then there will have to be 5 phrases within your database that match the word. For example, if KRA was looking up the word ping, then there would have to be 5 or more phrases related to ping before it would class it as a niche. If it was looking up ping putter, then it would have to be 5 or more phrases with ping putter in to classify as a niche, and so on. I suggest you leave it at 4 or 5. The next section here, ascending, descending, basically that is the order in which your niche phrases are written, and you'll see that when the niche phrases are completed. I usually like to have my count at the top, so that when I get my niche reports, I can see the phrases at the top are the ones with the highest count, the highest demand. Okay, so once you've set up this screen, you just click on the Find Niches within my niche, and wait for a few seconds while KRA goes away. It goes to the database and it finds every single word that makes up your phrases, and it will come back in a moment with a list of them, and we'll see what to do then. I was going to pause the video, but here we are. Right, these are the potential niches. Now, by potential niches, it just means these are the single words that make up the phrases in your database. You'll see there are also 2-word phrases and 3-word phrases. So we call these potential niches. Now, at the very top of the screen, you've got a file, save list to text file. You can save the whole of this list to a text file if you want, or you can load one. The reason that you would save or load is if you want to stop the work on the project for a while, go away and come back. So I could save this list here. In fact, let's do that. Let's just save that. Save it in the temporary folder, and I'll say that. Right, we'll save it as potential niches. Right. Then we go away, we close down KRA, and we want to come back and complete the work. Well, at this stage then, instead of clicking this Find My Niches and having to go through that process again, we can just click on the Open Potential Niches. Now, because KRA hasn't actually been closed, we've still got this data in there, but just imagine it wasn't. We could then go back to the temporary file, and there is our list again. Now, they're all unchecked when I've reloaded. Let's make sure they're all checked to begin with, because when they're checked, it means that KRA will look at them. If they're not checked, then KRA ignores them. Right. Hope I haven't confused you so far. Let's look at these buttons down here. The main one is the Remove button, and what I like to do is I like to remove all one-word phrases, all phrases that begin with an ignoreless word, or all phrases that end with an ignoreless word, because they're not really needed. When you understand how the process works, you'll find that these three groups aren't really the best ones for finding good niches. So this top button here will do a quick clean. It will get rid of one-word phrases and phrases beginning or ending with an ignore list. If you want to get rid of them individually, you can, or you can just choose which ones you want. So let's just click on that and wait for a moment, and you'll notice that some of them have become unchecked because they are either one-word phrases, or they begin with an ignore list word, or they end with an ignore list word. And once KRA has finished going down the list and unchecking them, it will then remove those that are unchecked. It'll just take a few moments. You'll see that before the KRA is doing this, there's 6,392 potential niches. And now it's finished removing those that met those criteria, and we're down to 4,453. So that is 4,453 words or phrases that KRA now is going to have to check against the main database. So it can take a while. Now, if you want, you can uncheck some of these if you don't think that they fit, but there really isn't a point, because KRA doesn't take that long to find these niches. Here we've got a checkbox, exclude uniques from niche within a niche. The uniques are the words that make up the phrases, and if you want niche within a niche files to include the unique list at the end, then you leave that unchecked. If you want to exclude the uniques from the niche within a niche files, then check it. You'll see what these look like in a moment when we have a look at the actual niche files that are generated. Everything's set. We click on Get Niches, and you'll see a progress bar along the bottom here, and you'll see that KRA is now checking all these against the main database. And go away, have a coffee, come back in 10, 20, 30 minutes depending on how big your list is, and I'll pause the video and come back then. Okay, KRA has finished and opened up this View Niches screen, and what you can see here are all the individual little niche files that have been created. I actually stopped it before it got all the way through because it was taking a while and I wanted to show you this, but let's have a look. Adams driver. These are the words that contain the phrase Adams driver, and that each of these could potentially make a good plan for a web page on your website. You've got the theme words down here, the unique words, as long as you included those in the niche within a niche file. They're the ones that are important in this particular niche. Adams drivers. You can have a look at all of the niche files down here. You can delete them if you want to. You can select a bunch of them and merge them into a single file. It'll ask you where you want to save it for printing, or otherwise just go into the folder where you saved your niche files, and these text files will load into any text editor, or you can of course view them within KRA.